Welcome. Good to see everyone. Good to be together and practicing, particularly this loving kindness practice, which is so important for our world right now. And these today and next week are the last two sessions on this particular practice. Today, I want to talk about the scope of the practice, the vastness of our potential and the experience of a Buddha holding this practice. So there are several different ways of translating the word Buddha. In Tibetan, it's Sangye. And there are lots of nuances. The Tibetan words are not singular in definition. There are many nuances. So one of the nuances is ever expanding purity. And we can think of it from the perspective of this bodhicitta practice as ever expanding bodhicitta heart-mind. That there's no limit, no boundary, no end. And as we are all Buddhas in the process of becoming, that is our potential as well. So I want to go over the stages of the practice and particularly emphasizing today, as we're more and more comfortable with the practice, what it means to be limitless or have no boundaries. So the first, we looked at it in several different stages. The first stage is identifying the awareness state of bodhicitta. And so the suggestion is to go to a time in your life where you have experienced unconditional love, or when there's been a spontaneous opening of unconditional love. Drop that story and just abide in that state. So you can see that right there's the aspect of the strength of your shamatha meditation, or the capacity to abide in one experience. In this case, it's the aspect of bodhicitta. First identifying it and then abiding in it. And the instructions say that for a normal person, that would be a 2-week retreat. Just working with that, strengthening it, going from, let's say, a mental picture to the quality of being that unconditional love. So that's the first stage. And then we talked about expanding or radiating that. And going back to Lord Jigten Sumgön's instructions, which are particular, he suggests that you sit in the posture of Shakyamuni Buddha with your left hand in your lap, your right hand on your knee, and smiling. And that quality of smiling sort of is a summoning of joy, you might say, or a summoning of fearlessness. There's a sense of confidence. And then we start to expand that feeling first to our loved ones. In our contemporary society, it's hard to necessarily identify the complicated relationship we have with our parents as necessarily easy or safe. So you define for your own self what is the easiest beginning for you. And with everyone, you'll notice there's a difference between dwelling in the fullness of loving kindness and then beginning to authentically expand that without any shakiness, without any reservation, without any hesitation. And so each time there's even the tiniest waning, going back to establishing oneself in confidence in the feeling, the being state of loving kindness, and then starting again. But the first advice is first be able to sustain the state, practicing the sustaining, getting to know and sustaining, and then simply being full 2 weeks. And at this point, I think we started this exploration of the loving kindness class in November. So you do have some experience in it. Then after you have confidently, successfully expanded it to, let's say, the safest person you know to be completely open with, then your family, your village, your town. And then it says, we extend it to all the people south of Mount Meru, then east and west and north of the whole world. And at the last minute, this is the reason I was slightly late this morning, I decided, oh, we got to go back to the visual for this. So I'm going to share the screen. No, that's not the right one. There it is. All right. So the whole world. So we move from a safe person, our family, our community, our town, until we are working with the capacity to hold not even just people, all sentient beings. So all the animals, all the insects, all the birds, all the fishes, all kinds of life, all beings with mind across the whole world. And this is considered one world. Then, when we are able to hold that in our heart mind, we expand that to the galaxy, which would be one world system. Again, every form of life, no matter what that life looks like, and the classic definition is all beings with mind are all sentient beings. Our whole world is one world. Then there is the galaxy, which is one world system. Then, when we've accomplished that, we extrapolate to the 3,000 world systems. So it would be the galaxy to 3,000 galaxies to 3,000 galaxy systems. And so that's how we start to understand all sentient beings and immeasurable all sentient beings. That is said to be the capacity of a Buddha, which means it's our capacity as well. So that means we just keep practicing the rest of our life and foreseeable lifetimes as we expand every day or every time we have the opportunity to practice moving slowly, individually, yet in ever expanding capacity to hold first the whole world in our heart, then all of life and all of the world systems that we can imagine in our heart, without any waning or the capacity weakening in any kind of way. So in some ways, challenges our imagination, and that's wonderful. And in another way, we go really to the great masters who we can see have accomplished a greater degree of this capacity than we have. It's imagining the capacity that the Dalai Lama has is fathomless. If you can imagine these extraordinary people in meditation holding the whole world, we might be able to imagine them holding the whole world, but then even greater and greater and greater. So just in the same way that we are always inspired and never stopping, they are always inspired and never stopping. And even that is still, let's say, an imaginary, it's nice to imagine that capacity, but I want to share with you an experience that I had when I was fairly new student with His Holiness Drikung Chetsang Rinpoche. And I wouldn't say at that point in my life I was naturally sensitive psychically, but I was in his room asking some questions. They have an audience room at the top of the temple in India, and it was right before an assembly. So he was talking to several people, and then all of a sudden, we looked at each other, and all of a sudden there was this palpable wave of energy. And I looked at this other American, and we're sort of in shock saying, oh my goodness, what is that? And it was his preparation for giving teachings. It just was like a tidal wave in that little room. And then a friend of mine was visiting for the teachings that day, so I had to leave that room and go out to the gates of the monastery. And there were probably a couple thousand people there for the teaching. And I could feel that wave continuing to go out and fill the whole monastery, clearly covering each and every being that was gathered there for the teachings. So when we have experiences like this, it's wonderful because we see the truth of the Dharma in action, and a quality of demonstrating a quality of experience that's beyond us right now, but something we can aspire to. And it was really a moment that I'll always remember because it was so palpable and so distinct. And so sometimes I know that we're sitting on our cushions and we're doing this practice, and in many ways as practitioners, the point of the practice is for us to see our limitations and dissolve those limitations. But we're doing it with the altruistic motivation to benefit all sentient beings. And we might wonder, well, is it actually having a real benefit? And when we're in the presence of some of the great masters, really who are so rare to meet and be able to experience in this life, and feel the quality of that bodhicitta in a very tangible way like that, then we have, yes, confidence that absolutely this practice is having an effect, and having an effect on thousands of people all at once. So just sharing that with you as we go into the practice this morning, and taking confidence from this lived experience into your practice. So in our own gentle way, with curiosity, and now I would hope confidence in your own practice, going through the stages first, sitting in the proper posture, and beginning with the stage of calling to mind unconditional love, unconditional warmth, unconditional tenderness, that quality of loving kindness. Now, perhaps you don't need a story or a narrative to call that to mind. You have a sense of what it feels like to be permeated with loving kindness. And then in your own way, moving out towards your family, and just continuing that expansion until there's an experience of waning, and returning, filling up, and starting again. And then as we're doing this, we can see how this also relates to the World Peace Prayer. When we're practicing that, there's that global sense where we can move through our community and then allow any conceptual experience of the globe to go to a different part of the world, and see each and every being in that part of the world permeated with this loving kindness. So we didn't get a chance to practice last week, so let's give ourselves a good 15 minutes to practice this week. And have confidence in your experience that however you're approaching it is right for you for this practice session today. Okay, begin. So as usual, we'll do a quick dedication, but start to connect this beautiful dedication prayer to this particular practice. Bodhicitta, excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher.